the 2000s, Cash Money Records was the most famous record label in the world. And that's all thanks to Lil Wayne, who was the biggest rapper on the planet. He was discovered and signed by Baby, later known as Birdman, and together they started a long business partnership. Wayne eventually decided to pay it forward and created a Cash Money subsidiary label titled Young Money to mentor and develop young artists. By the late 2000s, the lineup of talent on Young Money had grown significantly, and it created two of the world's biggest rap stars. From the outside looking in, they looked like one big happy rap collective. But unfortunately, most of the artists weren't able to gain exposure or capitalize off the hype of being associated with Lil Wayne and Young Money. Behind the scenes, there was something more sinister going on. And turns out, Young Money didn't have money after all, at least not for its artists. Young Money was exposed to be just another exploitive record label. There were many unfulfilled promises and countless lawsuits brought against Cash Money and Birdman over alleged stolen royalties and other shady business practices. This is the collapse of Young Money.
At the moment, a lot of people are talking about it through other artists recently coming out and say they have had issues there. What were your personal situation? What was your situation?
My personal situation was it had two main issues I had, right?
So, what is your situation with Young Money? Are you still an artist there, or are you going on your own path now?
Why hasn't there been like a project? You know what I'm saying? Like I would have thought, you know what I'm saying, that you get signed, boom, project. Why do you think that didn't happen that way?
But as a whole, Cash Money, everybody who you see on the videos, you know what I'm saying, we take time out to say, you know what, put this on the side for a rainy day.
We ain't trying to make VH1. Believe that.
Yeah, we're not trying to be on behind the music.
So not only is it a family, it's a business though.
Yeah,
so it's a
definitely.
family business, and that's important. And you all trust each other though.
This here been with Wayne, been with me since he was like 8 years old. BG since he was about 10. We basically helped raise them. So you know what I'm saying? This real love. Ain't no need for me to try to. This rap game is a dirty game. You know what I'm saying? They'll shifle. Got some real dirty people in this game. I wouldn't feel as a man if I was to play them sour like that. You know what I'm saying? We come out the project together. It's just I could never do that.
All right.
As a child, Dwayne Carter would freestyle around his neighborhood of Holly Grove in New Orleans, Louisiana, and first became affiliated with Cash Money and Birdman around the age of 11. Brian Brooks, later known as Baby or Birdman, would become a father figure and music mentor for Wayne. The label hadn't quite been established yet, but Birdman and his older brother Slim were intrigued by the local hip-hop subgenre called bounce that was emerging in New Orleans in the early 1990s. So they officially launched the label in 1992 to help local bounce artists with their careers. And throughout the 90s, they signed many New Orleans-based hip-hop acts, including Wayne, who was finally offered a deal at the age of 14, making him the youngest artist at the label. He was a part of the Hot Boys rap group that also consisted of BG, Juvenile, and Turk, all from New Orleans, Louisiana. The group's success carried the independent label to a mainstream level with the help of producer Manny Fresh, who took on the role of primary in-house producer for all of Cash Money's artists. The trio caught the attention of music executives at Universal Records, which led to the label signing a major 3-year, $30 million distribution deal with the recording company in early 1998. The success of Juvenile's solo album, 400 Degrees, released later that year, launched Cash Money into the spotlight, and his 1999 summer hit, Back That Thing Up, featuring Wayne and Manny Fresh, solidified the label's position as the hottest hip-hop label in the world. Of course, that's also with the help of other releases like The Block Is Hot by Wayne, BG's Chopper City in the Ghetto, and the Hot Boys' Guerrilla Warfare, all solely produced by Manny. The label had sold over 7 million records in just a few years into their contract with Universal, but it wouldn't be long before things started crumbling at Cash Money. Both BG and Juvenile left the label in 2002 citing mismanagement of money. Juvenile told XXL magazine that year, in quotes, "I feel sorry for the other rappers, cause they don't even know what's going on, and they're still over there. Money did it. Money came between us. They know it. I know it. From day one, I put my trust in them, and then you go back and check the paperwork and realize it ain't right." He even went on to say that he felt sorry for all the other artists that left the label. This wasn't the first time Birdman and Cash Money got slammed by their artists for financial issues and shady business practices. In the early days of the label, both Lil Slim and Mr. Ivan departed the label due to disputes over royalties, and in August 2007, UNLV's Lil Ya and Tech-9 settled a lawsuit with Cash Money, claiming they weren't compensated for their work. Manny Fresh also sued the label and settled the case out of court in 2006. But this video isn't really centered around the main Cash Money label, so let's get back on subject.
How much money have you all grossed in the past 2 years? Let's just say 2 years, because I know y'all been doing this for a minute.
In the last year, Cash Money made, like, the company itself, we grossed like $150 million. You know what I'm saying? Just in the company. Us in general, I like to keep that, you know, confidential, the money we make, but we make a lot of money at this here.
The Hot Boys disbanded in 2001, and Wayne fully took center stage at Cash Money. He became the label's most valuable asset, with back-to-back top 10 albums and platinum-selling hits. By the year 2005, he was named president of Cash Money and founded Young Money Entertainment as an imprint of Cash Money.
President of Cash Money is wonderful, but I'm trying to make that title glorious. That's my goal. Yeah, sign new talent, sign old talent. I mean, we talking to some people that y'all know of, talking to some people y'all don't know of, you know what I mean? I think Cash Money is gonna be the revival company, you know what I mean? Like, for all the people's careers who you thought that probably never did what they're supposed to do, I want Cash Money to do what it can for them. I'm the president of my own label also, which is Young Money Entertainment, which is just as important as Cash Money for me, because regardless of what I do for Cash Money, I'm gonna make sure it gets done for Young Money.
Wayne started scouting new talent, and rappers Currency and Boo were the first artists signed to the imprint.
My first real artist and all that stuff is on my label, Currency. His album supposedly drops a week before Thanksgiving. He got the single out there. We just finished shooting the video, Where the Cash.
You know, we all in the same age bracket. We all from the same city. All done been through a lot of the same things. We went to the same school. You know what I'm saying? We had one time we was at the same school. You know what I'm saying? And he's an artist himself. So he know, you know what I'm saying, the things he would want and how he would want everything to be for him. So he don't want his artists to have to go through none of that, you know what I'm saying?
If my artist is tripping about something I've never tripped about, I'm in school for psychology. You know what I mean? So everybody know I go to University of Houston for psychology, so I'm on the honor roll too. You know what I mean? Come get your therapy over here. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm going to let you do what you want to do. You know what I mean? But I'm going to make sure it's right. If I'm making your album for you, then that's just another Lil Wayne album. I mean, no, I let them go off and do your thing. Young Money is where, you know, the new talent comes in. The new guys, the guys that's going to one day take over Young Money. And I no longer have to worry about it, just collect the big check.
Later in the year, Young Money released its first mixtape titled Young Money, The Mixtape Volume 1, a 2-disc tape with 28 tracks. But in 2007, after 2 mixtapes and being featured on Lil Wayne's Dedication 2 mixtape and other features with Wayne, Currency announced on his MySpace page that he had left the label in a post that read, "Sorry y'all, I tried, honest. I officially declare my independence on the 16th day of December 2007. I am not Young Money. Regardless of what you may hear in the streets, read on the web, or hear on the radio, I am not Young Money. If that loses me friends or fans, that's just something I will live with, but I will get my just due in this rap game before it's all said and done. Don't look for any beef records from me, cause that ain't my thing. Just look for me at the top," end quote. Currency never went into detail, and his departure still remains a mystery. But one can assume that it's because of the same allegations about Birdman made by past label members, since Currency has always praised Wayne since then and continued to collaborate with him in the future.
Me and Wayne we never had a falling out. Me and Wayne never fall out. It never was like, you know, you're out of Young Money, or it was never like, I'm leaving Young Money. It was like, yo, like, I understand this is cool. But like clearly, like you know me, like I wanted to do this. I wanted to do what I wanted to do. So the only way you could do what you want to do is like in your own house. Like your parents will tell you that. Like not in my house, you know what I'm saying? So I had to build my own house so I could do what I want, you know. We never saw each other once I started doing my own thing for us to have any bad words. And then unfortunately, you know, he went away to do that time. And of course I didn't see him then, but I was on the road in Miami. I had a show in Miami and him and Mac Main came through. So maybe like 2 or 3 months after I got off tour, they were in Chicago at the same time that I was there. So I went to one of the homie shows and I was like, I'm gonna send you this joint tomorrow. And I sent it to him, I got the verse right back. And that's when we did the record for the Gangsta Girls and shit. So like after that, you know, the door opened up, well, we always working now, so it's all good. You know, that's how it was, I always knew, you know, that's how it was gonna be. We never had no issues, you know. Yo, this is
By 2008, Wayne had already stepped down as president of Cash Money and CEO of Young Money due to his uber-successful music career. But that didn't mean he wasn't still signing new talent. Young Money! By this time, he had found so many young artists to sign, and by the end of 2009, the label had grown an enormous roster of talent consisting of Tyga, Jay Mills, Gutta Gutta, the label's president, Mac Main, Lil Chucky, Lil Twist, T Streets, Chanel, Jay Sean, and 2 artists by the name of Drake and Nicki Minaj, who had already established their own generous following, respectively.
Your boy T Streets.
It's your boy 2G Gutter.
What up? It's your boy Lil Twist.
Mac Man, Stupid Mac Noop, all in one highlight, man.
I go by the name of Drake, Jimmy Valentino, Drizzy Drake Rogers.
My name is Nicki Minaj, aka Nicki Lewinsky. Is going down.
It's your homeboy Chucky Kellio.
It's Harlem Zone, your boy Jay Mills, man, Young Money.
I met Chucky on a video set, and he was a kid at that age. His mom and his dad was with him, and I loved the way they presented him. They was with him. They was right there. They knew everything he was doing. They made sure, and it was like you see parents like that with their kids behind sports.
Yes.
You know what I mean? To see them like that behind rap and his talent, I was like, he has no other home but here, and that's where they want him to be. So I have the beautiful Miss Chanel. I met Chanel on tour. I was on tour with Chris Brown and Neo, and she's a professional dancer. She was dancing with Neo on his tour. I had to shoot a video, and I needed a dancer, and I needed one dancer. And she was the lucky person, and from that video set, she told me I sing, and I write. And she told me some of the stuff that she had written, and she let me hear some of her stuff, and she is amazing. We all know Nicki Minaj. And last but not least, Drake.
The hip-hop collective released the 3 Billboard charting singles, Every Girl, Bedrock, and Roger That in 2009, off their first compilation studio album, We Are Young Money, and they frequently made cameos in each other's music videos. But it was Drake who gave the label their first real success when his highly anticipated debut album, Thank Me Later, dropped in summer 2010. It debuted at #1 in the United States with 447,000 copies sold in its first week and spawned 4 Billboard hits. Then Nicki Minaj followed it up with her own groundbreaking success as a female rapper when she released her debut album later in the year, titled Pink Friday. It sold 375,000 copies in its first week, marking the second highest sales debut for a female rapper since Lauryn Hill, and eventually reached its peak at #1 with the help of many successful hits that include Super Bass, Moment for Life, Your Love, and Check It Out. Both Nicki and Drake accumulated many accolades and carried the label while Wayne reported to prison. But what about the rest of the artists on the label? Were they making music or just making music video cameos? Singer Chanel was one of the few singers signed to Young Money. She's a singer-songwriter, background dancer, choreographer, and sister of D Woods from Danity Kane. Chanel was born and raised in Anaheim, California, and had been previously signed to Usher and Ne-Yo's record labels. She decided to sign with the Cash Money imprint because she was confident that the label would focus on her music instead of making her write for other artists, like she had been doing previously. She told MTV, Wayne was kinda like, you do this. Keep your music for yourself. You have the talent. I see what you do. You can come over here with Young Money and do what you do over here. Which was the best situation I can be in. My music is a little bit different. It's not R&B. It's not pop. It's not rock. It's not alternative. It's a fusion of everything. A lot of labels don't let you do that, but at Young Money, they let you do that.
And this is Chanel, Miss Chanel. She wrote Prom Queen. She's an artist on the label also, and she's on every shit. But she wrote Prom Queen. What's your name so they can hear you talk?
Hey, I'm Chanel.
What he said.
Yeah, what I ditto, kiddo. I have an artist named Chanel, so I could just walk with her. She's better than any Grammy or anything. She's actually behind you. And she goes right there. Yeah, right there. That's my Grammy. Right there. Here comes the Grammy. The Grammy.
Throughout 2009, Chanel was featured on over a dozen songs by her label mates, including Prom Queen by Lil Wayne and Handstand by Nicki Minaj, and also contributed to the label's compilation album that year. In August, she released a mixtape titled A Taste of Chanel, aka SNL, and another in March 2010 titled Shut Up and Listen. But these projects came and went because they were not pushed by the label. Chanel finally grew frustrated after years of releasing single after single and mixtapes without any support. She told Vlad TV that she felt the label was prioritizing certain artists over her.
The fan base for Young Money is really young. And sometimes they don't really grab onto all that I have to give. So I have to be able to give them a little bit at a time, but then you do have a big community of the Young Money audience that gets it. So it's just I as an artist have to shuffle through my work and find out, how to give it to them. I mean, they just think I'm just amazing and creative, and everybody's kind of like their own boss with underneath the boss, so they know I'm gonna put it together when I need to put it together and give it to them when it's right. Because I've really been working hard for the last year, on being on and off the road, not really being able to sit in the studio and focus. But that's why I put out all these bits, just to give people a taste of the first idea that I felt like me and the people can relate to. It's just, I want to be respected, you want to be respected, here's some music that just screams out respect me. Listen to this, I'm going to go and create. The guys think everything is amazing so far, so.
She released 4 more mixtapes with the label, but they all failed to receive any buzz or commercial success, and that was the last we heard from Chanel. On the other hand, we had Jay Sean, another singer at Young Money who landed a US #1 pop hit. He's a British South Asian singer-songwriter who made his musical debut in the early 2000s. He signed with Young Money in late 2008, and by the next summer, his American debut single, Down, featuring Lil Wayne, topped Billboard's Hot 100, the first solo artist of South Asian origin and the first UK urban act to top the Hot 100 in America.
Baby, are you down, 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 down?
His top 10 hit, Do You Remember, followed later that year as well. Both singles were certified multi-platinum, but when it came to the 2 albums he released through the label, they failed commercially. And by 2014, he had left the label, citing lack of promotion and attention to his projects.
At the moment, a lot of people are talking about it through other artists recently coming out and say they have had issues there. What were your personal situation? What was your situation?
My personal situation was it had two main issues I had, right? Number one was the fact that there was just a constant delay and lack of attention and promotion and marketing when it came to my music. You know what I mean? And it got to the point where I think that ended up happening for pretty much all the artists on the label. Hence the reason why Tiger wants to leave, Buster left, Mystical left. You know what I mean? A lot of people are unfortunately leaving because of that. So
do you think when you went to Cash Money, like, because it was like, okay, Jay Sean signed, they paid attention to you straight away.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm trying to say? And then you came out the album, it was sounded amazing. Nicki Minaj featuring, all this stuff happening, and then it's just like, boom, I told.
And remember, Nicki Minaj wasn't who she is back then, was she?
Very true.
Neither was Drake.
Very, very true. Very,
so
very
do you feel like they kind of stole the spotlight?
But I can't be mad at them because they are killing the game.
Yeah.
But it's down to their own artistry too, though, because Drake runs his own business.
Yeah.
You can only respect that.
Jay filed a lawsuit against Cash Money for unpaid royalties, and in 2016, a judge ordered the label to pay him $1.14 million. But that definitely would not be the last of Young Money's problems. Lil Twist was one of the most visible artists at Young Money at some point. He was often seen hanging out with Wayne and the crew and making music video cameos. When he was 10 years old, he released a local hit in his hometown of Dallas, Texas, called The Texas Twist.
Quite amazing how the mic is blazing. A few more shows so the price is raising. Cork a path on every night you're playing. The train getting heavy.
At the age of 12, he opened up for Wayne at a concert in Texas, and Wayne's manager, Cortez Bryan, flew him to Atlanta to see how they can help develop him as an artist. In 2008, Twist signed a deal with Young Money and released 2 mixtapes in 2009 during their golden era. And in the same year, he released his debut single titled The Leak featuring Wayne that reached number 77 on the R&B chart, and he was even featured in XXL's 2011 freshman class issue. Twist somehow became affiliated with Justin Bieber's crew, and this helped him gain even more popularity. And they even collaborated on tracks together. He also did songs with Nicki Minaj and Miley Cyrus and released a string of singles and mixtapes over the course of several years. But none of this was enough exposure to push his music to mainstream. In 2014, Twist slammed his management team and Young Money in a series of tweets that read, "I swear I gotta have the worst management team in the history of management teams. Like, wow, this shit is crazy. All I wanna do is drop music. From Don't Get It Twisted to Bad Decisions. I have so much fucking material recorded, but I can't even get an answer from my management. The dates that I give y'all don't just come out of my ass. From album dates to mixtape dates, I'm being told by management. But when that day comes, a young nigga can't even get a fucking answer." And to Team Twist, it looks like Twizzy ain't keeping his word or even working, to say the least. "I put my trust wholeheartedly into my management. It takes a little more than just dropping content on social media for my fan base. It takes a lot of shit that management has to do when you're on a major label scale to get it out there the way you want or need it to be." End quote.
I remember when I first got signed to Young Money, I was at the Millie video shoot, and that's when Drake came. That's when we met Drake. Drake came to the set with a portfolio with headshots from Degrassi. He was well put together from the very beginning, and I remember Wayne looking at that portfolio, flipping through it, and just handed it back to Ted and said, "Sign him." So I knew he was coming on board, but now he's on board, and it seems like everything is evolving around Drake. And I'm like, man, I was here first. Why the f*** is Drake about to come off the label first? I would take it upon myself to go and make diss songs about Drake and email them to them. I would diss Drake and Tez, and I would send them the song in the email because I was so mad that I knew he was coming before me. So,
were you nervous in the beginning?
A little bit, because in the very beginning, Wayne didn't like me like that. Like, Tez brought me to Young Money. Tez is who found me, but Tez is up there with Wayne that's running everything at that time. And Wayne had just found Chucky at the time, so everybody would be talking about Twist, and Chucky was the one that was really just popping in the label already in Young Money. So I kind of felt a little pressure from Chucky of knowing that I had to come hard or do a little bit more to try to surpass everybody else's likes in Chuck. I had to stand out, you know.
Why hasn't there been like a project? You know what I'm saying? Like I would have thought, you know what I'm saying, that, you know, you get signed, boom, project. Why do you think that didn't happen that way?
It was a gift and a curse with Lil Twist and Young Money. and I wouldn't have had it any other way. Let's make that clear. I became very, very family oriented, more than business, with me and Wayne's relationship. So at that time, if you can remember, my first single, Little Secret, featuring Bow Wow, and then I dropped the second single, and then I dropped Love Affair. So I was prepping for Don't Get It Twisted, the album. But at that time, I was on Xanax. I used to really, really, really love Xanax. And I would do different things and sip syrup and do all these wild things as a young guy, young rock star. And I felt it was cool at one point, and I felt I needed to do that. I'm doing it with my boss, with my brother, my idol. That's what I need to do. But at a certain point in time, Wayne was like, Twist, it's time to, you know what I'm saying, it's time to slow down on those pills and shit. And he didn't feel that I slowed down when he told me to. So he put a halt on my debut album, just past the business. It was just, Lil Wayne, we gonna teach Lil Bro, since he don't want to listen to me, we stopping the album. He stopped the album, probably fucking forgot that he stopped the album. Now a year passed, and anticipation for that is just slowly, still Lil Twist, I still had a crazy buzz, but it was slowly just passing over. And then my little bro Justin called, Lil Bieber called, and I ended up moving to LA. And it was just a discouraging thing, to where I moved from Miami after all of that happened, just being disappointed, and ended up moving to LA and just never got back on that track. Got too comfortable off of being Lil Twist, the guy that I built up.
I'm sure it's true that his lack of success was due to poor management, but his music was never really well received by the public to begin with. And it also didn't help that he was in and out of jail for charges ranging from DUI, assault, and theft. Tyga was another teenage protege of Wayne's and signed to the label in 2008 after spending his teen years releasing music independently. He was a popular rapper around Southern California and had formed his own record label called GED Inc. His independent song Diamond Life gained popularity after being featured in the video games Need for Speed Undercover and Madden NFL 2009, along with the 2009 movie Fighting. He had also been previously affiliated with Travis McCoy of Gym Class Heroes and was offered a record deal with his label. Tyga made his Young Money debut on their hit song Bedrock in 2009, and his affiliation with Wayne opened him up to a wider audience. He released 4 mixtapes that year, and his success carried over into 2010 and 2011 with a feature on Chris Brown's Deuces and his viral solo hit Rack City. His first studio album through the label Careless World, Rise of the Last King, did fairly well on Billboard with over 60,000 copies sold in his first week. But by the next album, Tyga had become dissatisfied with his time at the label and said he was being held hostage. In October 2014, he announced his departure from Young Money, tweeting, "Gold album been done. My label holding me hostage so I can't release nothing. Might just leak it for fans, then let them make money off it. The music industry is a devil's playground. I'm a man of God. Last Kings is what I built, and the only thing I rep. Never bite the hand that feeds you, but never starve for the hand that doesn't." Then Young Money's president, Mac Main, replied, "Don't forget about putting limes in coconuts. What you rep didn't make you or build you." Tyga also revealed in an interview with Vibe magazine that he wasn't getting along with his label mates Nicki or Drake. Around the time of Tyga's departure, Wayne was experiencing his own issues with Cash Money and Birdman. Just 2 months later in December, Wayne tweeted, "To all my fans, I want you to know that my album won't and hasn't been released because Baby and Cash Money Records refused to release it." 2 days later, during a performance, Wayne tells the audience he's in a bad situation with the head label.
Free Weezy album coming soon. Carter 5 coming soon. Cash Money.
His manager Cortez Bryant even took to Instagram to talk about how Wayne's loyalty to Cash Money is the reason the label even succeeded for so long. In January 2015, Wayne filed a $51 million lawsuit against them, claiming Birdman violated the terms of his contract by holding the Carter 5 album hostage and sought to end his contract with Cash Money. He also filed paperwork to prevent Birdman's involvement with his artists. Leaving the label would allow Wayne to take his Young Money artists with him and properly oversee their music.
Say, the Birdman. And Cash Money. Bullshit right now. These niggas got me in bars right now. They don't want to see me make good music. I don't know what the is going on. Oh, them niggas.
He continued to diss both Birdman and the label until things turned violent and nearly deadly. An indictment stemming from the incident claims that Birdman and Young Thug conspired together to take Lil Wayne out. But Birdman denied these claims, although the perpetrator directly named him as the person responsible. The two eventually made up, and Wayne was now directing his lawsuit at Universal Music Group to reclaim portion of the profits made from Tyga, Drake, and Nicki's music. But the two fell out again, and he alleged that Birdman was stealing more than his share of Young Money's $100 million advance. And the judge sided with Wayne. David Banner also filed a suit against Young Money Entertainment, saying he was owed money for work on Wayne's records The Carter 3 and We Are Young, and was awarded more than $160,000. Finally, in 2018, both Wayne and Birdman reached a settlement. But a few months later, Tyga sued both Cash Money and Young Money for $10 million over unpaid royalties. But Birdman said it's Tyga who actually owes Cash Money for advances he received when he signed his deal and never paid it back. Tyga voluntarily dropped the case less than a year later. There was another lawsuit brought against the label by Aspire Music Group, alleging missing profits and copyright royalties stemming from Drake's first 6 solo albums, which was reportedly worth tens of millions of dollars.
So, what is your situation with Young Money? Are you still an artist there, or are you going on your own path now?
Nah, I got my clearance. We good.
You got your clearance.
Had to handle business. You know what I'm saying? It's business. No feelings can get caught up into nothing or what's going on. Why? Because at the end of the day, it's grown men in here.
Yeah.
You feel me? If we could say, okay, plot up, let's get some money. We could plot up and be like, okay, look, okay, we see this now. We're gonna boom, boom, bam. You know, I wish you the best.
Yeah.
We handle business. I got my release paper. Shout out to Cash Money. It's 100. Shout out to Toon. Shout out to Stunner. That's on 100, man. Slim, everybody. But you know, it's Libra gang.
Being on Young Money could
There's more too. That's the crazy part.
A lot more, but it could be perceived to be a gift and a curse. But like, what? Why do you think it didn't work out for everybody? And by everybody, I mean the majority of the artists on the label.
I tell people this all the time. It never works out for everybody. Once you understand that, it's like, and I'm looking at this picture of Charles Barkley right now, and it's taking me somewhere, right? I want to explain to people something. There was a lot of great people on the Sixers when Barkley came. There's a lot of great people on the Lakers when Kobe came. I always tell people.
Shaq was there.
I always tell people, I know what it feels like to be Eddie Jones. I know what it feels like to be Eddie Jones. Not saying that I'm not nice or I'm not great.
Eddie Jones is nice.
But I know what it was like to be great and somebody comes around and they are undeniable. You can go in the studio and make the dopest shit you want. Aubrey is undeniable. I remember the first time Wayne let me hear Successful.
The label has faced countless financial lawsuits, but I think you guys get the point that Cash Money has had a lengthy history of money issues that Birdman seems to be responsible for. The main lineup of Young Money artists has slowly disappeared into obscurity, with the exception of Nicki, Drake, and Tyga, because as I mentioned earlier, they already came with their own following before joining the label and were already on track to becoming mega superstars. Then the label started signing artists who were already established, like Austin Mahone, DJ Khaled, and Christina Milian, but the label wasn't able to provide any growth for their careers. Birdman already had a long history of shady business dealings, but it got to the point where he was even willing to exploit his so-called son that made Cash Money the label it is. Wayne set out to be a trusted confidant to young budding artists, but the Young Money roster grew too quickly overnight that it became too hard to give every single artist the proper attention they needed, and most of them never got to release an album under the imprint. Just a few years ago, Lil Wayne reportedly sold his entire masters, that includes Young Money's entire catalog, to Universal Music Group for $100 million. And that amount seems so low to me, since it includes his, Nicki, and Drake's music. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, like this video, and subscribe to BFTV for more content.